when I was downstairs and I was worshiping, I felt his presence come in. And then once again, I just like stepped over. It's just like he just draws you. You just step over. It's very easy because he wants us with him. He wants us to be one with him. And when I stepped over, I was standing at an ocean. And there was a beach. I was barefoot again. And the sand on this beach it's not like the dirt, because the dirt in heaven to me is like baby powder. It's just super, super soft. But this was sand, but it was soft, so it didn't like tear your skin off your feet. Have you ever walked on the beach for a while and then when you get done, you're like your feet hurt and they're like raw. But the sand was just was soft. And I was standing there and the ocean was over here on this side. And I don't really like the big rolling waves and all the sounds of the ocean and stuff, because to me it's just commotion, and I like it quiet. So every time he takes me to heaven, to the ocean, my ocean is quiet. Usually, we have played in the waves and stuff, but usually it's quiet. I don't know if the tide is in or if the tide is out when they're just kind of quiet, but it's just always it's peaceful. It's quiet. He leads you besides the quiet waters. Mm-hmm. And so the ocean was just quiet, and it was an ocean. And I was standing on the sand, and Jesus was standing here beside me. He comes up and he gives me a hug, and then he starts walking beside me, and he puts his arm over my shoulder. And we're walking, and he says, I've given you gifts. And I thought, yeah, I know. I thought, well, I must not have known, or he wouldn't have said, I've given you gifts. And then later on, he showed me that how he kind of expanded that. He has given us gifts. He's given us, there's people in your life that he has given you as a gift. They're gifts. Your customers are a gift he has given you. There's gifts. He showed me that like a ceiling just bulging with gifts. And I would be pushing the gifts back up going, I don't want that gift. Mm-hmm. I don't want the gift of being able to type. I want the gift to be able to sing. Or he was shown that he's given me gifts to be able to answer multi-line telephones and transfer phone calls. I'm like, I don't want that gift. I want the gift to be good with numbers. And he said, I've given you gifts. Everyone has a gift. He said, open your gift and thank me for the gifts that he's given you. It can be answering the phone and staying. I love organizing. I'm an administrative assistant by nature. Give me a garage that is full of stuff, and I just that is so fun. I want to organize it. Other people look at that and they're like, oh, it makes me want to sweat. Continue walking, and he stops and he turns and he steps in front of me. We're face to face, and he says, I'm in you. And then he just walks right into me. And I'm standing there on the beach, and I've got Jesus just walked right into me. And I'm like, oh. And he turns around, and he looks out my eyes. And I can feel him inside of me. Last week the other week I taught you, I was sharing with you guys how we are in Jesus when we were in the throne room. Well, now he's showing me how he is in me. So he was standing in me on the beach in heaven, looking out my eyes, and I'm like, whoa, this is weird. Because I could feel him in me. I could feel him. I could feel the tingling. I could feel his presence in me. And I looked over here, and he looked over here. And I looked straight down the beach, and he looked straight down the beach. And I looked at the ocean, and he was looking at the ocean. And I could hear the birds singing, and he could hear the birds singing. And I could hear worship, and he could hear worship. And so he is in you. He is in every one of us. He is in you. What you see, he sees. What you look at, he looks at. What you listen to, he listens to. he said, well, I was like, whoa, realizing that he really does see everything that we see. He hears what we hear. He's in us. We are in him and he is in us. And he steps out of me halfway, and part of his arm is still in my arm, and he's standing to my side. And he says, I am in front of you, I am behind you, I am around you, I am in you. I'm like, oh. And then he steps back into me, and he says, I feel you with my presence. And then I could feel him just like looking up, and he said, I draw love from my Father. And I could feel this overwhelming love of God going into Jesus that was in my body. And he said, I draw power from my Father. And I could feel it going in to Jesus who is in me. And he has no walls. He has no barriers. He has no wounds. He has no blockage. It was just like feeling him, which was filling me. He didn't leave. He didn't desert us. He's in you. He's in you. And he says, I feel you with the Father. I feel you with my presence. And he was full of the Father's love. He was full of God's power in me. He said, as you reach out and touch people, I reach out and touch people. It's never been us. It's never been us. It's always been him. When we are in him, he reaches out and touches. It's not us. When he is in us, when we reach out and touch people, it's still him. He draws the love. He draws the power. And he said, I draw the power, and it goes through your vessel. So whenever you reach out and touch people, the Father reaches out and touches people. He says, I have no problem. I'm like, oh. He has no problem of releasing the love of God. He has no problem releasing the power of God. We've got to get out of our heads that it's us and realize that he fills us. He is in us. We are in him. We are one. And get our heads off thinking that we're not worthy, we're not, whatever, sanctified enough that day. It's all Jesus. It's always been Jesus. It's all about Jesus. And so he stepped back out of me. He held my hand, and we started walking down the sidewalk. Started walking down the sand, continued walking down the beach with that revelation of he is in us, and it's always been him. He has no barriers. He has no wounds. He has no blockage. So whenever we reach out and pray for people, like at the end of the service or whatever, realize that it's not you. It's never been you. It's Jesus in you. You're in him, and he's in you. So get your mind off. And let him flow through you to the people, because there's no problem. There's no problem with that. He has no problem.